Welcome, everyone. Today is July 10th, 2025, and this is Prime Hour. And today we are going to start. The theme is how do we shift from the what to the who in a coaching conversation? So, to get started, here is the question that Amy and I have for you. What is what and what is who?
We just jump in here. This is my first time.
You bet, Michelle.
Please,
Jump right
Michelle,
in.
jump in. This is a conversation.
I feel the what is the issue that is presenting by the client versus the who is really the essence of the individual and I guess I don't know what other word to use other than who, but what they're all about. So maybe their values or what's really more important or the essence of them, maybe is the right word I'm looking for. But the what is I want to call it the surface level issue that probably comes into the session very immediately.
I love that.
Great.
Anyone else has a different way to verbalize that? Or something else to add here?
I think the what is what they think they need coaching around. And suddenly the conversation unfolds and goes in a direction. And then to Michelle's point, you're getting underneath the surface of what is really the challenge, the struggle, the conflict, could be values, how they're operating.
You make a great point there, Mary, because oftentimes the client will come immediately with the what, right? Because this is what they're thinking about. This is the situation. This is what concerns them. This is what is occupying their mind. So they are going to come and they are going to share the what. This is what I'm dealing with. Absolutely. Yeah. Other thoughts about what and who?
It reminds me of something else I listened to in the last few weeks, and when they talked about easy change and hard change, and the easy change, he referred to it as sort of, was it spreadsheetable? It was kind of it was visible, it was tangible, whereas the hard change was really about how we're wired. So it's kind of about who we are, rather than more some of the easier change might be changing habits, although sometimes that needs a bit of sort of how we're wired as well, I guess. But sorry, it just reminded me of that.
That's great. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
This idea of I think that Mary mentioned this as well, this idea that what is more on the surface, the easy, right? And the who, it has depth. Who is more transformational? There is that word that Amy and I use all the time, the transactional and the transformational. And as coaches, we want to give our clients the opportunity to go through a transformational process and not simply put a Band-Aid on a situation.
I'm going to go back to what Mary said about they come thinking they want to work on the what. And there's an old expression around coaching that kind of sounds like a beer commercial or something, where it says they come for the what, but they stay for the who. And I think, and I'll put the question to all of you. What do you think? Why is it so common in our culture to only think about the what?
I think at the end of the day, the what is less vulnerable. The who brings vulnerability and uncertainty, or uncertainty and vulnerability, whatever the order is. But
yeah, that makes sense, Ed. Yeah, there's great vulnerability in it, but that's, in the end of the day, don't we all know that's where the real change happens? Don't you think all of us know that at some innate level?
Yeah.
I also think that what for me, what is sort of externally facing and who is more internally facing?
Mm. Yeah.
I heard an ism earlier today, and I don't like the word blame so much, but it was, if you want to feel better, blame others. If you want to get better, blame yourself.
Mm.
I like that.
But that's hard.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Joe, is I think it's even if the what is a very high mountaintop to climb, it feels easier than the who often.
Yeah. Yeah, like to add to Sarah's, the what seems to be, and to your point, Amy, around what about our culture? It's the immediate, it's right in front of us. It's really obvious. It's the situations that surface every day at the office, at home, with family, in different organizations we're part of. And it's these things that are very tangible and right in front of us and immediate. And we have this culture that has evolved the last 40 years into being very on demand, what's the next thing? And so it's like, that's what I think the problem is, when the problem is stepping back and
I love what you guys are bringing to the conversation. This is beautiful. What is coming up for me as I'm listening to you is also this idea that because we live in this world here, right between our ears, 24/7, we tend to take it almost like we tend to take it for granted. We tend to think that the whole world operates by this operating system that is in here. So therefore, the focus is not in the operating system in here. The focus is on what is out there. Make sense? What I'm saying? On the what, and not in self-reflection, in self-awareness.
I wanted to just I coach a lot of executives as well as that Gen Y. And a lot of the pain points for the executives is, the maturity is lacking, let's say, or the a different work ethic and things like that. But when I coach with them, there's really not any encouragement in the culture or any kind of motivator in the culture for them to take the time to reflect, to think about who they want to be. There is this fast, 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 in as little words as possible, run from one meeting to the next, be always justifying every moment, unless it's to play, let's say, or to socialize, but not to really reflect on your behavior. And a lot of times my sessions are holding space for that because they've not had that opportunity. So I wonder, in the culture, to Amy's question, is it that it's not really rewarded as well, or not encouraged to take time to reflect, because you need that time in order to consider the who. Otherwise, you're just caught up in I call it like a little hamster on a wheel, just going meeting to meeting, or just day to day, and there's not anything to stop you to reflect unless a major event happens. Some external force forces you to do that.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What I keep thinking of is every time you're in the Western culture, my observation is when we introduce ourselves, the next question is, what do you do?
Yeah.
And we don't value relationships, as I've seen in other cultures, at least in the United States. I can't speak for everyone, but the cultures I've traveled to value relationships more than they value the job that they do. And that's what keeps coming up for me in what versus who. If I lived in a different culture that valued relationships and, hey, come on over. Oh, you came in and I'm going to bake a cake for you, and I'm going to sit you down and I'm going to have some tea and I'm going to get to know you, which happens in different cultures. We might operate our coaching a little bit differently too.
in South Africa, they have a greeting that is sawubona, which the translation loosely is "I see you." It's how they greet one another. It's to say "I see you," and I do think this is a somewhat cultural thing, as well as highly developed countries. I think we get going a little too fast and we throw the baby out with the bathwater, in that we don't realize it's relationships and people that make stuff work. And because we can't measure it, we can't see the bottom line from it. You know, how many of you who do executive and business coaching are always in there trying, in the beginning, trying to convince somebody as to why this is valuable? And yet it's a hard pitch because it is not measurable. It is not tangible. It does not have a direct line to the bottom line. And yet intuitively, we all know, everybody knows this. And yet for some reason, we keep jumping over it. So now I'm going back to your point, Michelle, is that this is why we have clients showing up all the time and they want to talk about the what. It's our job to shift this to the who, because people just aren't, it's not customary to have these conversations. But once they're in it, I think we've all had that experience. Once they're in that conversation where we're talking about the who, they're all on, even to the highest level executives. So that's the question here now for us to maybe pivot to, is how do we find those opportunities for people who are so fixated, as Ilya said, between their ears, to shift into that kind of a conversation without overstepping the client's agenda and what they want to accomplish?
And this is the thought that came up for me, because like we are also part of the culture, right? We are also part of this world that is focused on the what. This world that is what is the fix? What is the problem? There is an issue here. I need to solve this problem. I need to find an answer. We are part of that culture as well. So as coaches, we are also bringing the same mindset. If we don't pay attention, we end up bringing the same mindset as our clients are bringing to the coaching conversation. And then it becomes just this superficial transactional process that does not bring enough of depth and transformation and touching on the core issues of what's going on, if we don't pay attention to it, right? Joe?
Okay, so can I yes and you here?
Yes. You can yes and but me too.
Yeah. Not that kind of Zoom. The irony for me in this conversation, which as usual is perfectly timed, you guys have a way, is something I've been working on in my practice, is training my clients to come better prepared to coaching. And I've been a little bit hesitant at that at first. And the path that I'm finding to the who and to break down these doors actually starts with the what. I'm asking them, I'm training them to, you can't get this wrong. Be granular. Pick the thing that's most on your heart or in the front of your brain or keeping you up at night. And I don't care how what it is. We don't use that language. But what inevitably happens is when they come with a focus and we're able to really unpack that focus, it leads to the opportunity for the who conversation. Is anyone else finding that? And how do you guys reconcile that as the masters here?
I love that concept, Joe, because, oftentimes when we talk about the what and the who, there is this thought that, okay, we are only going to address the who and the what is irrelevant. No, everything is interconnected. It's one person, right? And the what and the who is present there. I think that the conversation that we are bringing here today, and when we are in formal coach training, and the stress on the who, is that we oftentimes have a tendency to stay on the what and just go into the what, and completely the person is right in front of us and we are completely dismissing this person because we are so focused on the what. But they are, you can't take one out of the other.
I-
just sorry.
No.
No, sorry. Is that fine balance as well, though, to as coaches not to get sucked into the story, into the what in a sense, but that's still important. And some clients are a bit more verbose than others, of course. But it is quite, it is a fine line, and yet they're so intertwined. And it's then, yeah, still staying present and still listening for the who within the story, because the story is still important, because there's times, maybe it's talking about decision making. We never get to know what the decision actually they're trying to make. That's kind of not always important, often not important. So it is that, just so it's interesting that what you're saying there, Joe. It's how do you sort of tread that fine line?
Yeah.
Sure, I thought that you were going to add something.
Yeah, it was maybe in thinking about preparation, what that Joe talked about. One of the things that I do is give them some reflection questions to think about to help prepare them. And I received some feedback as a coach that I'd never considered. And it was around how difficult it is and how scary it is for the client when this is so unnatural to go so deep in some of the questions. And that was something that I never considered. And they said, this is so easy for you, Michelle. Like, you talk about feeling so easily. And this is so, so much a part of your world. But in our world, and this is a corporate, in a corporate client, this is not encouraged. This is looked at as being soft, as being, not efficient, or, not competitive. And so I think I underestimated as a coach how difficult what seems like a simple question for me, and very easy to ask, how difficult it is for them to even process that. And really the need to hold that space and to encourage that courage, or to validate that courage that they take to go deep when that's not their norm. It's part of my prep, I guess, not only the client's prep, but my prep.
I often say that, clients come just like coaches come at ACC, PCC, and MCC level. Clients come at ACC, PCC, and MCC level. There are clients, it's so foreign to them to go deeper that if we ask a question that goes a little bit deeper in the surface, just one layer, it's already a big disruptor for them. So that's the listening that needs to happen for us to open the door for them to go deeper, because we know that there is where transformation is going to happen. But knowing that, some clients it may be easy for them to go there. Some clients is not. How much can we go? What is the place that we can, that will resonate with them, respecting their process, right? This is their process, not our process. It's something for us to be very mindful as well.
We're always walking a razor's edge with this. And that's what we have. This is why listening becomes so important, but also our gut instincts too. We've got to meet the clients where they're at. And as Ilya said, the door, first of all, and I just want to throw this in here. Clients are always, even the most guarded, never talk about emotions kind of client, are always dropping little who bombs, like always. They're saying things like, well, I'm the kind of person who always blah, blah, blah. That's a who bomb. Like, you get to jump in on that if you want as a coach. So that's the kind of person you are. What else makes up who you are? What else? That's somebody talking about their identity. People talk about their identity all the time. It's how we leverage that into the conversation, because the razor's edge is we don't want to have them feel abandoned from the agenda they brought in, that now all of a sudden we're going to take them into this deep dive when they're here to solve. But at the same time, they're not going to solve well without us going into that deeper realm. And so we're walking the razor's edge, but always feeling out where the client's at, and are we meeting them where they're at, or are we putting them off and sending them back because we're coming in too hot or whatever.
Hey, Amy, I'd like to pile onto that and say that in my experience, those who bombs that you described, oftentimes the awareness just comes from presenting in whatever format we do to offer that those who bombs are answers to the question, who am I? And so in my experience, it wasn't that people necessarily had trouble going there, but that they had never considered the answers they were giving as response to who am I?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of shocking.
My point was I found some early success with just sort of the marriage of those two things. You're giving these answers. Is that who you are? I mean, that's not literally what I would say, but it wasn't like pulling teeth as much as it was sort of offering up this question of who are you, or whatever derivative it was, and it being sort of a question that people had never asked themselves.
Yeah, but also, David, too, meeting them where they're at with their language, in the cadence of the dialogue, all of that stuff. This is where this stuff becomes really important. And by the way, I just have to make a disclaimer here. Let's not make this who bombs term stick in the industry, please. Realize this is a little morsel here. So yeah, good point. Good point.
So I have a question, just to check in. Why do coaches are so concerned with the who? Why are coaches so concerned with the who?
Because we coach the person.
And why is that important?
Well, actually, I like your question, Elias, because my thought process on this is that there's a reason that person is in coaching. And it's not necessarily because, oh, well, Elias is an expert on subprime mortgage financing, and I'm struggling with that market. It's because I have a dilemma in my space that I want some help with. So for me, really the only place to go is the reason for the coaching relationship is about the who, even if the situational stuff, to Joe's point, is important because it might be the context in which they're asking for coaching. But remember, they're asking for coaching. They're not, I mean, somebody might be forced into this, but that's not really consistent with the ethics of the ICF. So if there is a true coaching agreement in place, it seems to me really the only place to go, not the only, but the deepest vein to tap, if you will, is on the who side of this. And that's because of the nature of it being a coaching relationship. And they're asking for this. They're not asking for our expertise. They're asking for us as coaches.
I love that.
Oh, sorry. Was there someone else? I was just going to say the other part of that, Elias, is the what will always change. The what is constantly changing. But if you don't change the who will stay the same, and you're going to have the same outcome no matter what the what is, if the who doesn't change.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I think the who is centered in, whether they realize it or not, is they're trying to grow in some way and evolve in some way, personally, professionally, and get from and experience some kind of evolution, some kind of change, small or grand. Whether they think about coaching that way at the beginning or not, but ultimately, this is where, you know, the opportunity for change and growth can come from.
Yeah. Regardless of the what, it is that person that is relating to the what. And it is that person's perspective that is making that what a big deal. So if we simply touch the what, but we don't touch the perception, we don't touch the interaction of that person to the issue or the situation, we are not addressing the situation. We are not truly addressing the what if we don't address the who. Make sense?
We call in our curriculum, we call that the relationship to the story, looking at the client's relationship to the story or what they brought in, the what that they brought into it. It's what, if we just focus on the what, we're going to stay at that surface level, but what is their relationship to it?
Yeah. You know, in the listening triangle that I mentioned in a blog post a few years ago, I always talk about that, right? In a coaching conversation, there is the coach, there is the client, and there is the issue. And the client is very focused on the issue because this is what their mind is preoccupied. If we focus on the issue as well, we miss the biggest point, which is the person that is right there in front of us. And this is what is so interesting to me, because then it's like these two individuals, they are so focused over there on the issue, but they are missing each other. They're missing the you know, who is it right in front of us. And that is the call for coaching, for us to pay attention to the most important thing that is present in the relationship here is the person in front of us. That is the most important thing. So here's what we would like to do. We would like to put you into breakout rooms with one question, and we are going to give you 10 minutes for those questions, or perhaps a little less than that. The question is, for you individually, what is in the way for you to listen to the who? Okay, let's put you into breakout rooms and you can talk with each other about that. So we have, okay, I'm gonna make 5 breakout rooms.
No one's allowed to say who bombs.
Let's see here. Just
It's such an easy identifier, Amy.
I know.
So-
I'm like, what if clients heard this?
How are you spelling that?
I'm not spelling it at all, Claire.
That'll be in a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
You need to trademark that, Amy. What prevents you from listening to the who? All right? And enjoy the conversation. We are back, whether if you like it or not, and based on your faces, I caught you midway into a wonderful exchange there. So thank you for these conversations. We are incorporating these breakout rooms in the prime hour because it's yet another opportunity for you to connect a little bit more closely with each other. So I hope that you had that opportunity as well and be able to share a little bit more. I would love to hear, you know, what happened in this and the debrief that you had in these conversations. Before we jump into that, I want to make sure that you know that our next prime hour is not in August. We will not have a prime hour in August. Our next prime hour is September 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you have that in your calendar so that you are ready to come and join us in another conversation. Amy and I will come up with a topic. If you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, send us an email or send us a message on LinkedIn and let us know what you would like for us to discuss during these prime hours. We are always open to topics and ideas that you want to discuss. But September 8th is our next prime hour. Also want to let you know that you probably know this already, our registration for both level 1 and level 2 cohorts are still open. Our level 2 cohort starts in 2 weeks. So if you want to jump into level 2, it's now the time to register for our level 2 program, and our level 1 will start in about a month. So if you know of anyone who would like to start their coach training program, please let us know as well. Don't forget to listen to Prime Space. We are in a hiatus right now. we finished our second season of Prime Space already. So we are going to soon start season 3. Maybe some of you can become a guest in Prime Space. Is there anything that you would like to share with the coaching community? Send me a text. I would love to have a conversation with you and address some of the points that you would like to share with the community as well. Prime Space is that. It's the space for us to talk about, another space for us to talk about coaching and coaching skills in general. So let me know if you have anything that you would like to share with the community, and I will schedule a time to have a conversation with you as well. Amy, anything else that we need to talk about?
No, I think that's it. I think we're good.
Awesome. So what happened in these breakout rooms? I would love to hear your nuggets of wisdoms that you generated together.
Well, you're all smiling, so come on.
Well, I'll just share, my biggest impediment or gets in the way is my natural curiosity for the situation. In fact, the more foreign it is to me, the more curious ooh, that's interesting. I realize, oh, wait a minute, if there's more than 5 minutes of table setting on the situation, it's just because Ed's gotten curious, and it's really not in service that much to the client. So I have to kind of check myself because, that people bring you really interesting things, so you're wondering, ooh, what's that all about? So, and that's not the point. So
this is such a beautiful point here, Ed. Where is our curiosity? Where is our focus? Are we curious about the situation? Are we curious about the person?
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal point there.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Michelle mentioned, you hope you don't mind me saying so, Michelle, but and you might want to give more context, but the concept of just time pressure and the nature of honoring the client's situation, and in her particular situation, the types of clients she has and what motivates them, honoring their motivation to get to solution, can keep it up there especially when there's time pressure.
Yeah, Michelle. Yeah.
I was just saying, this is a corporate setting, and so time is money, right? Bottom line. And so they're used to going into a meeting to say, here's the issue, here's the discussion points, we're going to come out with a solution and action plan, and that's not coaching. If you're really getting to the who, that may not get resolved for many sessions. And you have to allow the time for that. And if that's not what they're used to or they're not conditioned for, then that feels unproductive, ineffective, unnatural, even a bit fearful for them. And so how do you balance as a coach honoring where they're at, but understanding that the who takes time? And I think that's an ongoing struggle in corporate, to be honest.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. And also, shifting the mindset, also even our mindset, because yes, it may take some time to get to the who, but in the long run, if we don't address the who, it's going to take longer to solve the problem just by taking on the what, because it's going to be repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. But for us to understand that and for us to communicate that to the client, it's hard. Yeah.
One of the little tricks I've used is they talk a lot about ROI, of business. And so I said, what's the ROI for you personally? And that term really is like, oh, never thought about that, and it's an investment of not money, but of time into yourself. And it's just a funny little thing because of the industry per se, but I think a lot of them are used to investing in clients, investing in, education and all these things, but investing in me, that's a foreign concept. So try to shift them or motivate them through that.
Yeah. Every time we talk about ROI, I remember a student a few years ago. I was giving this in-person training, and one of the students was a former CEO of a big company in that particular country, and he said, "My ROI is that I sleep better. If I am able to sleep better, then that is a great ROI." And I always love that.
I think that those opportunities, I'm going to push back a little bit, Michelle, on is this taking a lot of time? Because again, I'm going to go back to the who bombs. They're dropping them all the time. And I just had a situation yesterday with a senior leader in an organization who is really having a struggle with a couple of team members of hers. And I really just put it to her and said, who do you need to be as a leader to truly lead these two through this and get them in line, right? And that question was the magic mark, because before that, she'd just been chasing her tail with frustration. And I think those are the disruptor questions that we can throw in. But we have, like you said, you've got to use their language. You've got to meet them where they're at. And this is where language becomes so important.
And the presence in listening to not miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because how there are these moments that we can really drop a who bomb. We drop a who bomb for them, question, and that will disrupt them and take them off balance. Are we missing those opportunities where we can really go deeper?
Yeah. And we hear it listening and reviewing other coaches' coaching sessions all the time, right? If you record your own sessions and listen to them, you'll hear it. I assessed one a while back where the client just kept using the word trust, 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 trust over and over again through the whole session. And the coach was a former CEO and the client was a CEO. So they're talking CEO, right? But the word trust is just thematic throughout the whole session. And at the very end, the coach said, so I'm wondering, is this about trust? He literally said it in the first 3 minutes of the coaching session. And so this is what we can get wrapped up in is these dialogues that are very customary. But like I said, they're always tossing out these gifts of these that we need to pick them up and be able to transform those into what the client can hear and relate to and still feel tended to relative to their agenda.
And that's why we had that question in the breakout room. What is preventing us from listening to the who? Because the who is there. The client is right in front of us. And somehow the client is giving all of these who bombs and we are missing it. And we are not paying attention and we are not asking a question. What is holding us back from noticing this person that is right in front of us, right on our face? And we are not being able to ask these questions that support them to make the bridge and go there. That is the point of this whole conversation. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, I think absolutely that. Two things came to mind when you guys asked that question. It was like, what prevents you from listening to the person? I think sometimes when a person comes with a what that or a story that hits very close to home, that you can kind of get wrapped up in that and start to miss some of what people are sharing about themselves as opposed to the story. So there's that's something that I've noticed with myself, because then you switch very quickly into, wanting to give advice or to fix the problem or to help problem solve because you've lived it. So I think there's for me that kind of comes up. And then the other thing is we also live chaotic lives as well. So what's preventing us from coming into the conversations fully present to be able to hear and start to, connect the language that they're using that shares more about who they are as opposed to what the problem is. And I think that comes down to, how do we clear the space to be fully present to be able to do that?
Presence and listening. All of a sudden we get distracted by the story. The story becomes so attractive that we all of a sudden we are there in that space of the story and we're missing this other person. That's the listening triangle. that I always talk about. What is so attractive about that story that makes us miss this individual that is right in front of us, and miss the how the individual is expressing themselves.
Elias, you challenged us weeks or months ago. I'm not sure if it was in this group or another one, but to recognize that nothing needs fixing. And what's coming up for me in this discussion is this is an opportunity to not listen to what's wrong in the who, but to look at the who as the solution provider for the what.
Beautiful, Joe.
Yes.
That's great.
Put me in, coach. Let's go.
You're in, man. That's great.
It's just connecting for me. That's
That's a great.
So is it fair to say that if we go into this mindset that there is nothing to fix, it becomes easier for us to pay attention to the expansion, the broadening, the fuller expression of that individual? And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. I heard something the other day on a podcast that I think is what hooks all of us into the story. And this person said, she called it the mesmerizing bias of what we think we know. And I think that's where we get all tangled up in the story, right? Is we're beginning to get hooked with our bias, and we're mesmerized by it because we're trying to attach everything we know to it. And really the process is the opposite.
And I would encourage all of you, pay attention to conversations. It doesn't have to be a coaching conversation. Conversations that is all about the what. It's usually two people in their own spaces, in their own mind, just talking. They sometimes are not even listening to each other much, but they are just talking and talking and talking, and it's just about what is inside their brain. It's all them in their own world, right? And it's not about like expansion, broadening perspective. It's not about getting to know more of who they are, how they are interacting with this particular situation. And if we as coaches don't pay attention to the individual, if we stay in that who, it becomes all about what I know, what the client knows, and just this data exchange without a transformational and broadening of the individual. Interesting.
Elias, I think that's so important. And I just saw this last week with a client. The data exchange and recognizing what you do know and you don't know. I had a client where we had met on Tuesday and had what I thought was a great session. And then Thursday, I'm getting a 911. Hey, we have a group coaching session with this other individual. We get on to this group coaching session to work out some of the things, a ton of things that I had no idea about that she hadn't been willing to share with me on Tuesday came out Thursday. And so I think what gets in my way sometimes is the fact that I think I know the who. And I have to remind myself, I know portions of the who. I've only little glimpses of the who do I know, and that there's always more to learn. And so I think, especially with clients that I've worked with for a while, that I have to come in with a fresh mind every time that there's more of the who to get to know, because I can get blinded by thinking I understand the who and then going after the what too quickly.
This is wonderful, Sarah. And then the realization that we will never have a full understanding of the who of this individual, because it's humongous, right? It's this universe that is in front of us. That's why in coaching we say that the client is the one responsible for the exploration. We're just providing the space.
Yeah.
Because if we take ownership of getting to know all of the details, getting to know the whole person, we are never going to do that, right? So really supporting the client, creating just the framework for that development to happen. I love that. Wow. I'm mindful of excuse me for my cough. I'm mindful of time. And what would be final words and takeaways from this conversation for you that you would really like to hold on and remember as you move forward?
So Nadine and I had a conversation in our breakout, and what emerged was a lot of the same patterns, but I connected a dot, which is that my bias is often a language bias. And I don't mean Italian or French. I mean that old engineering world that, yes means yes, but Amy, you kind of shined a light on it when you said language, and so the light bulb went off. That sometimes I think I'm communicating, but I've got this bias of what it's like to be a Pentagon consultant and what that sounds like when I ask who questions. So that's my takeaway. Thanks.
Beautiful.
Mary says, reminder of the listening triangle. Joe says, the mesmerizing bias of what we think we know. And perhaps others can write in the chat or we have a few more seconds here. You can open your microphone and share with us. What is your takeaway here from this conversation?
I have purposely sat back, one, because I was driving, and then as I settled, I challenged myself to just listen. And so it was interesting being part of the conversation today in that listening piece. So for me, I guess giving ourselves a place to remember who we are. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Cindy. Excellent, everyone. We are on top of the hour, and connect with us, continue to connect, follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we will see you in 2 months on September 8th at 3 p.m. Take
Great
good care.
conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you both.